The cafeteria was alive with noise, the clatter of trays and the buzz of conversations filling the air. But in the middle of that ordinary chaos, a moment unfolded that silenced everything. A steaming cup of coffee tilted, its contents spilling in slow motion, splashing across the shirt of the new student. Laughter erupted, cruel and sharp, echoing through the crowded hall. The bully smirked, basking in the humiliation he had caused. What he didn't know, what none of them knew, was that beneath the quiet demeanor of the boy he mocked lived a champion. And that day, arrogance would meet discipline. He had only been at the school for 2 weeks, yet already the weight of isolation clung to him. His name was Marcus, a 17-year-old with dreams far larger than the small town he had just moved to. His family had relocated for his father's job, leaving behind the comfort of familiarity, friends, and the community that once gave him strength. Here, he was the outsider, the new black kid in a school where whispers followed him through every hallway. Subtle stares, hushed comments, and the quiet cruelty of exclusion marked his days. In class, teachers spoke of fairness and respect, yet when the whispers grew into snickers, their eyes slid past him, as if silence was easier. Marcus carried himself with quiet dignity. Few knew the discipline that shaped him, the years of sweat and practice in a Taekwondo dojo, where he learned more than self-defense. He learned patience, control, and the strength to walk away when provoked. His black belt wasn't just fabric, it was the culmination of a childhood spent mastering body and mind. But he never flaunted it, never boasted. He preferred to let his actions speak, if they ever needed to. And now, as he sat alone in the cafeteria, trying to ignore the loud laughter from a nearby table, he could feel eyes on him. Among them, one figure stood out, a bully named Tyler. Popular, loud, and arrogant, Tyler had made it his mission to remind Marcus that he didn't belong. What started as whispers had turned into snide remarks. Today, it would become something worse. It began with a snicker, then a chair scraping across the floor. Tyler arose, his entourage watching eagerly, hungry for the spectacle he was about to create. Marcus looked down at his food, refusing to meet the gaze he knew was fixed on him. Tyler strode over, his footsteps heavy with intention. He picked up Marcus's untouched cup of coffee, swirling it as though it belonged to him. For a second, he thought he might walk away. But arrogance rarely knows restraint. The cup tipped. The hot liquid cascaded down Marcus's shirt, soaking the fabric, staining it dark. Gasps filled the air, quickly followed by laughter that spread like wildfire through the cafeteria. Phones lifted, recording, hungry to capture humiliation for entertainment. Marcus froze. The heat of the coffee burned his skin, but the sting of shame cut deeper. His breath slowed, not from fear, but from control. He remembered his instructor's words, "The strongest fighter is not the one who strikes first, but the one who chooses when to strike at all." Tyler smirked, leaning closer, whispering words only Marcus could hear, words dripping with venom, words meant to remind him of his difference, his blackness, his supposed weakness. Around them, silence grew between bursts of laughter, the crowd sensing something unspoken. Marcus stood slowly, his hands steady, his eyes locked on Tyler. For a moment, he considered walking away, but the burning in his chest wasn't just from coffee. It was the fire of every injustice, every silence, every time he had been told to ignore cruelty. The room seemed to shrink. The laughter grew quieter, replaced by the heavy anticipation of what Marcus would do. Tyler laughed again, pushing him lightly, mocking his stillness. To everyone watching, it seemed like Marcus was frozen. But inside, a storm was gathering, a storm fueled not by rage, but by discipline. The lessons of Taekwondo coursed through him, the balance of defense and offense, the precision of movement, the clarity of purpose. He didn't want violence, but sometimes dignity demanded action. And so Marcus took one single step forward. The crowd leaned in, breaths held, as if time itself hesitated. Tyler reached out, ready to shove him again, but this time, Marcus moved. In one swift motion, he sidestepped, his hand catching Tyler's wrist. The cafeteria gasped as the bully stumbled, thrown off balance. Marcus didn't strike recklessly. Every move was controlled, precise, the mark of years spent mastering his art. Tyler lunged again, but Marcus pivoted, his foot sweeping in a clean arc that sent the bully crashing to the floor. Trays clattered, voices rose, and the laughter that once mocked Marcus now erupted in stunned silence. The bully scrambled, his arrogance crumbling. Another attempt, a wild swing, but Marcus blocked it effortlessly, twisting his body with the fluid grace of a champion. One final movement, a controlled takedown, left Tyler pinned, staring up at the ceiling with fear replacing his smirk. Marcus didn't gloat. He didn't strike again. He simply stood, his breathing steady, his posture unshaken. Around him, the cafeteria was frozen. For the first time, Tyler's power meant nothing. His cruelty had been undone not by anger, but by discipline. And in that silence, the truth became clear. The boy they mocked was no victim. He was strength disguised as stillness, a storm hidden within calm. The humiliation Tyler intended for Marcus had turned into his own. Teachers rushed in, their voices raised, but they were too late. The scene had already spoken louder than any lecture could. Students lowered their phones, unsure whether to hide the evidence or share the moment that shattered the school's unspoken hierarchy. Tyler was escorted out, his arrogance dissolved into a quiet shame. Marcus sat down, his shirt still damp, but his head held high. Whispers spread through the cafeteria, not the cruel kind, but whispers of respect, whispers of awe. For Marcus, it wasn't victory. It wasn't about showing off or seeking revenge. It was about standing when silence had gone too far. It was about proving that strength, true strength, is not in aggression, but in control. That day changed more than just the balance of power in a high school cafeteria. It forced students to confront their silence, to realize how easily cruelty thrives when no one speaks up. It reminded them that arrogance can be shattered by dignity, and that racism, whether whispered or shouted, loses power when faced with resilience. And for every student who watched, a seed was planted, a seed of courage, of awareness, of knowing that strength can take many forms. Marcus walked away, not with applause, but with something far greater, respect, both earned and given. Because sometimes the quietest people carry the loudest strength. And it leaves us with the question worth asking. How many hidden champions walk among us, waiting for the moment to reveal who they really are?